Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Punatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verses 11 to 20.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोकः लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदम् यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्दधाना मत्परमाः भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः.
So we have been studying the 35 qualities of a bhakta. Many people believe they understand what bhakti is. And here is the Lord himself talking about who is a bhakta, who is a genuine bhakta according to the Lord. And we are blessed insofar as we get to hear it from him directly. Nobody's opinion, nobody has anything to say. You can just read it for what it is saying. Last time, if somebody not muted, I think Jagannath Pathak, you are not muted. Or I don't know, somebody else. Priyadarshini, you're saying no audio. I hope you can hear it. So, all good. Everybody can hear properly, right? So, what did we study last time? We were on the 15th verse, which we did last time, where it spoke about how a bhakta, true bhakta, yasmat no dvijate lokaha. A true bhakta cannot be agitated by the world. Why is it that a bhakta cannot be agitated by the world? The world has no capacity inherent to agitate us. It is just not possible. It doesn't have that power. Then how is it that the world does agitate us? I mean, if you would not be wrong if you said, that's crazy, the world is constantly agitating me. So how can you say the world has no capacity to agitate me? But the theory still stands. The world has no capacity to agitate us. It simply doesn't have that power. Now, how do you know it doesn't have that power? In the same situation, is everybody equally agitated? Suppose somebody is very rude and offensive to you. He speaks very rudely. So you get agitated. We all get agitated if somebody is very rude to us, right? Now we feel he is rude and therefore I am agitated. But remove me from this equation and put Buddha there. Somebody is very rude to Buddha. Does Buddha get agitated? Therefore, we can easily prove that it is not the world that has the power to do this to us. Because if it was the world that did it to us, then everybody has to go through it. The sun is very hot. And when it's very hot, it will make this body feel very hot. You will sweat, you will perspire. Whether it is your body or Buddha's body, both bodies will perspire. But does the sun have the capacity to agitate us? No, I'll be hot and bothered with the sun. Buddha is Buddha. No agitation created out of that heat or that perspiration or anything. So we can easily see that it is not the world that's bothering us. Right, but Buddha is different with experience, so differences. Yeah, what the differences are, we are coming to. But first we have to establish that it is not the world. If we say it is not the world, then what is it? There's only one other thing left. In an experience, the subject, there's the object. So if it is not the object, it has to be the subject. But then how is it that we get agitated by the world? So here's what happens. We have a desire in our mind. We have some desire. When the world doesn't cater to this desire, we get agitated. When we have a desire in our mind, we want something. When the world doesn't give us what we want, it doesn't cater to that desire, we get agitated. I want that you all like me, and you all don't like me. Then I get very angry with you. But as long as I have no such desire that everybody likes me, now whether somebody likes me or doesn't like me, no, okay, either way. So what causes agitations is only our own desire. If I want everybody to love the Bhagavad Gita and somebody says something bad about the Bhagavad Gita, then I get very angry. How dare you say something bad about the Bhagavad Gita? Only as long as I have a desire can I be agitated. Now, many people think that we can take a shortcut in this. That, okay, I'm agitated, so let me do some meditation, or let me listen to some music, or let me have a drink, and then I'll feel fine. But all of these are only temporary. As long as the desire exists, the agitation is a given. It's a question of time. Okay, now nobody is being bad to you, so you're very happy. One day somebody will say something bad, again unhappy. So as long as that desire is there, every single method of dealing with this agitation is only a temporary reprieve. For the moment, you'll be okay. After some time, back to square one. Now, who is a bhakta? A bhakta means you're close to the Lord, right? So what does this thing mean that you're close to the Lord? The Lord is everywhere. So every one of us is equally close. Nobody is further and nobody is closer to him because Lord is all pervading. If Lord is all pervading, then we are all equally there. Correct. So what does it mean you're close to the Lord? Close to the Lord means that the level of desires has decreased. Because this Lord is all pervading. So where is the closest point to the Lord that we have? Within us. Then why don't we see the Lord within us? Because of the coating of desires. Since there is this huge coating of desires, we don't experience Lord either within ourselves or outside. We don't experience this. So as that coating of desires reduces, you become closer to the Lord, means fewer desires. You become unagitated by the world. The closer you are to the Lord, the less the world will agitate you. Why is that? Why is that? The closer you are to the Lord, the less the world will agitate you. Why is that?
Because the closer you are, the less desires you have.
Very good. Because the closer you are, the less desires. So you see what he's trying to get at? He's trying to get at that if you believe you're a bhakta, then this is what will have happened to you. And therefore the world has by whom the world is not agitated. The world is not Ganesh. Ganesh, we are human beings, so it's bound to happen, desire. Well, yes, Ganesh, except your causation is the other way around. Since there is desire, we are human beings. It is not because we are humans, we have desires. Since we have desires, we are human beings. Because if you removed all desire, you would be God. So that's what a Buddha is, right? Or a Rama, or a Krishna, or anyone else who has reached that stage. So you're right. You're right, but except it's the other way around. Since we have a desire, we are humans. God plus desire is equal to human. Human minus desire is equal to God. So the true bhakta, who's close to the Lord, eventually is the Lord. You will worship him as the Lord. He is the Lord because no desires exist. So he is not agitated by the world, and neither does he agitate the world. Tasmat no dvijate lokaha, loka no dvijate chayah. From whom the world is not agitated. Means the bhakta never gets agitated by anybody. And nobody gets agitated by the bhakta. First one was difficult enough to understand. Second one is even more difficult to understand because you'll say, no, of course the bhakta agitates people. No. The bhakta has lost the capacity to agitate people also. Now think about it. Why is it? When do we agitate people? We agitate people when we interfere with their desires. Your son wants to be an engineer, wants to be an artist. You force him to be an engineer. You're agitating him. Why are you forcing him to be an engineer? Because you want a son who's an engineer. So when we are desire-ridden, we are automatically selfish and self-centered. The more the desires, the more the selfishness. When we are selfish, we are not concerned about others and their happiness. We are concerned about me and my happiness. So if I have to trouble you so that I become happy, I will do that. Therefore, people who are desire-ridden are always agitating the world. They are making demands on the world. They are snatching, they are grabbing. It doesn't mean you're thieving and you're being criminal, but that's what we're doing, right? That's how we agitate the world. If your husband comes home tired from work and you say, I want to see a movie, take me for a movie. But he's tired, you're agitating him by saying, take me for a movie. So much easier to tell your friend who also wants to see a movie, chalo dono jaakar movie dekhte hain. Then both of you are happy and your husband is happy because you left him alone. But no, my husband has to come with me for a movie. Arey, because he's married to you, kya movie jaane ka पूरे जन्म भर का burden लिया है क्या? So when we have strong desires, we superimpose our view on others. Whether it is our spouse, whether it is our children, whether it is our staff, we're constantly superimposing our views on them. Often we don't let other people even think for themselves. I like Gita, so you should like Gita. I like burgers, so you should like burgers. Arey Baba, hello. Everybody has their own set of desires. So how do we agitate the world? When we start interfering in other people's desires, we agitate the world. Now, Bhakta has very few desires. Now, how can he agitate the world? It's not possible. He's not making any demand on you. People agitate us because they're making a demand on us. ऐसे करना चाहिए, वैसे करना चाहिए, खाना मुझे गरम दे दो, ये करो, वो करो, whatever the demand on us is. मेरे साथ यहाँ जाओ, मेरे साथ वहाँ जाओ, मेरे लिए ये लाओ, मेरे लिए वो लाओ. All of this when we do, we agitate us. Bhakta has no desires. He's not asking you to get anything. I remember my mother-in-law. She was a very saintly lady. So when she was eventually in the later years of her life was bedridden. And obviously there was staff to look after her. But if she was thirsty, she would not ask anyone for water. You have to remember to give her water. If she was hot, she would never ask anyone to put on the fan or the AC, nothing. She will just stay there quiet. Nature of a bhakta, where you have no demands. If you're feeling hot, you're fine with it. If you're feeling thirsty, you're fine with it. It's a very, very strange thing for us to think of. That here's a person who has no demands out of anybody. And if you do anything for them, my mother-in-law was like that. You do anything, the smallest thing, she will thank you with so much gratitude that you'll be, Baba, maine kya kiya inna bada. She'd say so sweetly, she'd smile and say, thank you, like so sweet about the whole thing. So when you are a bhakta, that means you have very few desires of your own. Nothing anybody can do agitates you, and you do nothing ever to agitate anyone else. Rajneesh, what's the barometer for desire? I don't understand, Rajneesh. What do you mean? What's the barometer for desire?
In terms of basic needs, whether it is food or drinking tea,
measurement.
these are also basic desires.
Sorry, say that again. Whether basic, are you saying are basic needs desires?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, basic needs or otherwise, they're all desires because it's a desire for survival, right? And who is to say what is basic and what is not basic? We can't draw that line. For each person, for a person, let us say there's a woman. Okay, she cannot live without her husband's stuff, for instance. So is that basic or is that not basic? We cannot decide for other people what is basic and not basic. So there is no such thing. A desire is a desire is a desire. No basic and no non-basic. Because for something like for Sachin Tendulkar, cricket may be a very basic desire. If you tell him don't play cricket, yeah, I don't know what, he'll commit suicide or something. It's a very basic and fundamental desire. But for the rest of us, cricket hai nahi hai, koi farak hi nahi padta. So Vedanta does not have any concept of basic desires. Everything is a desire, or you don't have the desire. It's that simple. Okay?
Even the desire for life can be categorized as non-basic.
No. There is no such thing as basic desire. I mean, philosophically, there's no such thing. Either you have a desire or you don't have a desire. For instance, when Shahid Bhagat Singh is walking to the gallows, okay, he has just blown up something and he knows fully well what is the consequence of that. He's going to now be hung. He's walking to the gallows. Does he have a desire for life? He's walking, and you should see the way, especially in films and all, they enact it very nicely. He walks like when Raja is walking to his throne. Can you imagine walking like that towards your own death? So what is basic? What is not basic? For him, basic is India gets independence. That's his thing. Whether I'm alive or dead is not part of his scheme of things. So no, so therefore, philosophically, we do not consider anything basic or unbasic, because firstly, it's different for different people, and secondly, not everybody has anything. You know, there are people who go on for like 30 years without eating food. There is a man who at least he claims that he has lived his life without eating food. And they've done some experiments on him. He says that he gets all his energy from the sun. I don't know whether any of this is true or not, okay? I'm not ratifying it. All I'm saying is there are people who don't want food. There are those who commit suicide. They don't want to live. What's a basic desire? No such thing. Philosophically, there's no such thing. Okay.
Thank you.
Ganesh, I feel desire is not bad as long as it helps others. Example, Saint Sad. We are common man, always trying to fulfill our own dreams, gets agitated during the process. Ganesh, when we discuss philosophically, we try to find universal principles, not opinions. Anybody can have any opinion. That's easy. But what is a universal principle? What is true for all people at all times is what a philosophical classroom is. Like that anyone can have any concept, I feel this or I feel that. So we have to learn to think universally. Now, you're saying a desire is okay as long as it helps others. What is that definition of help? I give somebody food. Have I helped the person? I educate somebody. Have I helped the person? I give somebody spiritual education. Have I helped the person? I think at least in this class, we will all agree that spiritual education is the highest education. Worldly education is slightly lower, and giving food is the lowest of this, because food is what? In one meal, you're ready for more. You have academic education, okay, you get a livelihood, but that doesn't mean you're going to become happy. And if you have spiritual education, you know how to work, you know how to be happy, you know how to deal with everything. So there are different grades of health. Correct. If you accept that there are different grades of health, then here is a person. You accept so far, Ganesh, that there are different grades of health. So now let's say that a person is capable of educating somebody academically, but he only gives them food. Has he done a good thing? So good and bad cannot be defined like this. Is that okay, Ganesh? Then Momita, times people get agitated by bhakta's attitude to their worldly desires. Yes, Momita, it is true that sometimes people get agitated by bhakta. For instance, people got agitated with Socrates and gave him hemlock. People got agitated with Christ and crucified him. So people of God sometimes are treated badly by people. But understand the process of what is going on here. It is not that a bhakta is agitating anyone, because he is not making demands on anyone. So he is not agitating anyone. People have demands, and by the very law that if you have a demand, you will be agitated, they are agitated. He is not contributing in any way to their agitation. Whether he was present or not present, these people will be very agitated, very frustrated. If they didn't kill Socrates, they'll find somebody else to kill. If they don't crucify Christ, they'll find somebody else to crucify. It is their own agitation. Christ or Socrates is not contributing to their agitation. You say, no, I don't agree. Then think of an example. There is a hot tawa. If you chimpadofy, if you sprinkle ice cold water on it, it will all splatter, right? You cannot say that the cold water has heated the tawa. The tawa was hot by itself. Anything on it would have done that. Okay? So the bhakta doesn't agitate anyone. Agitated people in his presence are about as soothed as it is capable for them to be. That is how, though they take somebody like Judas, for instance. Judas went and, he sold Christ for 30 pieces of silver. But then what happened after that? He committed suicide himself. So though these people get very agitated with bhaktas and they say all sorts of things about them, the fact is the love of the bhakta reaches their hearts too. But now their heart is only so parched, ab kaun kya kar sakta?
So, Ms. Janki ji, there are some relatives who are deeply into this devotional life, and other relatives accuse them of not paying attention to the grown-up kids and things like that. So, is that? I'm not sure what to make of that.
Don't make anything out of it, Momita. People love to talk and it's all random opinions. Unless it is somebody who has well thought out a concept, there is no point listening to people. अभी बोलने को तो कोई भी कुछ भी बोल सकता है. So don't waste your time listening to those opinions. Better for us to do our own studies and understand universal truths. The fact is that if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to criticize.
Right.
So the person is not doing. Now, we don't have enough information to know whether that person is doing it correctly, not correctly. We just don't know. But if
we shouldn't get into it either.
Yeah. Because that's why they say when a husband and wife fight, nobody should get in between. Because today they're fighting and hitting each other with chappals. Tomorrow they're holding hands and going to a movie. So when they interfere with each other's desires, then there's a quarrel. Then they satisfy desires and then they're all happy. If you have said anything in between, you will be hit afterwards. So better that we don't talk to people who do not have well-considered opinions. So that actually reduces our capacity to talk to anybody quite a lot, because 99.9% of people don't have well-considered opinions.
Thank you, Janki.
Priyadarshini, if minimum desires acceptance of people and situation comes naturally, yes. Arvind Deshmukh, difference between needs and desires for a common man. Arvind, there's no such thing in philosophy as a common man. There is a human being, there is an animal, there's a plant. You have to decide which of the three you are. If you claim you are a human, then there are some laws pertaining to humans. Common man, not common man, these are value judgments we put. There is a desire or there is not a desire. Either you want something or you don't want it. We have to only start from there. The more things you believe you want, or the more things you want, the more agitated the mind will be. The less things you want, the less agitated the mind will be. When you want something, and we all do want things, we must have the intellectual strength to be able to direct our desires towards a productive end. This is what, as a human being, we have to cultivate. Desires we have. But if we get carried away with our desires, we will mess ourselves up. We'll get terribly mentally agitated. We will fail at whatever we are trying to do. We will spoil everything else, like our health and our wealth and so many other things. So when the intellect directs the desire, it's known as a goal. So when you have goals, you have an aspiration, and you direct all desires to that goal or aspiration, you become successful, you become peaceful, and you live a balanced life. So there is no difference between needs and desires philosophically. There is no such thing as a common man philosophically. There is either you are a human, in which case these laws apply to you, or you're not a human, in which case these laws do not apply to you. Is that okay, Arvind? So, yasmat no dvijate lokaha, lokan no dvijate chayaha. He is not agitated by the world does not agitate him. Please understand that these things are not for us to practice. You cannot practice doing this. This can merely be our yardstick in knowing for ourselves how much we are truly spiritual. You know, human beings are very sort of taken up by the senses. So when your eyes see something that is so-called spiritual, then we think, spiritual. Or your ears hear bhajans, you call it spiritual. Your eyes see a murti, you call it spiritual. Your taste, what is panchamrut, you call it spiritual. However, none of these things are spiritual. Spiritual, as the Lord defines, is our ability in reduction of desires. You can have anything in this world, no problem. But as long as the desire is there. Oh, can't hear? As long as the desire is there, agitation have to be there. All desires are caused by agitation. All agitations are caused by desire. This is a law. It's true for everybody. Harsha, Marsha, Bhayo, Dvegaihi, Muktaha. He is Muktaha. He is freed. Freed of what? Joy, Harsha, joy, envy, fear, and anxiety. What are all these things? What is joy, envy, fear, anxiety? All of these things are nothing but a modification of desires. When you have a desire and the desire is fulfilled, you're very happy. You wanted to have a rasagulla. You had a rasagulla. You are very happy. You wanted your child to come first in class. He came first in class. You are very happy. You want your daughter to get married. She got married. You are very happy. Right? So when a desire is fulfilled, we have what we call joy. When my desire is not fulfilled, but yours is. Then I'm envious of you. So my daughter didn't get married, but your daughter got a very nice son-in-law. She married somebody from the Ambani family. Then I say, these people, they know how to do all these things. Become very envious of those who have fulfilled what you would like to have got. Somebody, you wanted a Mercedes, you didn't get the Mercedes, but somebody else got it. Your neighbor bought a Mercedes. Then you say, देखो ये सब black market करते हैं, black money है इनका. Always there's some envy, there's some negativity if somebody else does better than us. Right? So where does envy come from? You get something which actually I wanted. What is fear? Fear means that I got what I wanted. Okay? I wanted to get a Mercedes. I got my Mercedes. First, I was very happy. I have a Mercedes. Now, as I'm driving on the street and anybody comes within 2 feet of my Mercedes, what I experience is called fear. Fear means the loss of something that I desire. When my children haven't come home in time, I'm frightened. When my husband hasn't come home in time, I'm frightened. When the doctor looks at your reports and doesn't say anything, then you're frightened. You don't know what we're going to lose now. Are we losing wealth? Are we losing health? Don't know what. Which bhi bol sakta hai when he looks at those reports. We feel fear. Fear is when you're going to lose something that you have, that you desire and that you have. And anxiety. Anxiety is whether I am going to get something in the future or not. Now, see, suppose you want your child to come first in class, and then he does come first in class. Then will you be happy? No, but you know, what about next year? Will he come first next year also? Anxiety. So when I have a desire, I'm wondering, will I get, will I get, will I get, will I get? Because anxious. All of these are extremely strong emotions that generate from desires. These kind of emotions make it very difficult for us to even achieve what we desire. This is the sad part of life, that you long for it so much, but you do not know how to get it. What we don't get is the longing itself makes it difficult to get it. That's why they say, na, chodo, mil jayega. Chodo means what? Don't leave the object. Leave that mental longing and craving. You know, in sports, you see this a lot. You'll see a batsman playing very well. Up to the 90s, he plays very well. Then in the 90s, what happens? Suddenly, mistake after mistake. Why? Suddenly, the anxiety for that 100 is shining in his eyes. You know, there was one Indian cricketer, his whole career, he got out in 90s only, never made 100. You know who? No cricket fans here?
Chetan Chavan.
The whole career is over. He didn't make a century. Ivan Lendl, his tennis career is over. He never won the Wimbledon. And every year he said, this year I'm going to win it. This year I'm going to win. If he had come to Vedanta classes, somebody would have told him, it is the very longing that makes it impossible to get it. So these strong emotions agitate the mind. When the mind is agitated, the intellect cannot think, and therefore we cannot execute action properly. Have you not noticed? Suppose you were walking on the road and you met Amitabh Bachchan. Now you'd like to speak to him, you'd like to at least say hello, take a selfie, but you couldn't. He is gone also, and you're still thinking, oh, Amitabh Bachchan. At least you could have said hello to the gentleman, but can't. Why? Because strong emotion makes it impossible to execute action. Mukesh Bajaj, good morning. Can a bhakta be taken for a ride, advantage? And if not, where does one draw a line? He, she can say no or have an opinion, advice, but no selfish interest. A true bhakta cannot be taken for a ride. Just as nobody can take advantage of a bhakta. Just as a child cannot take advantage of an adult. A true adult, the child will come and she'll tell you some lie. Right? I need this, I need that, and all. I have to have 10 rupees because my friend is not well and I have to give 10 rupees to the doctor. So what will you say when you hear your grandchild or your child saying that I have to give £1 to my friend because she has to go to the, what is this, NHS. When she comes and she tells you that so cutely, what do you say to her? You have two options. You will either give her the £1 because it was so cute what she just said to you, or you say, get lost, I'm not giving it to you. But in both cases, you have completely understood the child. For a bhakta, the rest of us are like children. They completely understand us. So you go and you say, give long sob stories, they completely understand what you're saying. And sometimes they give in because it's so cute to listen to all these stories. And it's okay for the child to have £1. It's okay, no big deal. Or you think, no, the child is not supposed to have that because this is, it's doing too much naughtiness. Then you say no. So just as we as an adult know how to deal with very small children because we can see through everything they are saying, so too the bhakta understands us out of sheer wisdom. So nobody can take a bhakta for a ride. You can't trick them because they understand us better than we understand ourselves. But yes, people who claim to be bhaktas but are not, they can be taken for a ride. Like, for instance, many of us very often, out of a good desire, a desire to help people, we make endless mistakes. Remember I told you about that doctor in Malaysia? He used to send money. He had a widowed sister who had a son in Hyderabad or something, Bangalore, Hyderabad, something here in India. And from Malaysia, he used to send a fairly large amount of money to his sister and nephew for their well-being because the sister was widowed. And then his well-wishers used to tell him, there's something wrong. This is not right. But he never listened to them until the well-wishers actually took photographs of these two lying on the streets as drug addicts. So sometimes, out of guilt or goodness, we want to help people, but we don't think clearly. And so we actually do damage them. But bhakta means a wise person, has to be a wise person.
Madam, one small question. You get two options, cute child, £1. Yes or no. But the child may be really wanting to take the friend to the doctor. So these two options are there, agreed. But third option could be, I will come along with you and pay the fee.
Yeah.
That could also be an option available. Of course, there's an effort involved in reaching the doctor. You probably would have spent £3 traveling to the doctor, but at least you call the bluff of the child then.
Yeah, anyone. But whatever you're doing, you understand and you're doing. That is the point. So nobody is taking advantage of you. You are dealing with the situation. So whatever option you choose, you are dealing with the situation. The child is not dealing with you. Ajay, Hariom, wouldn't agitation be the result of unfulfilled desire rather than desire itself? Ajay, desire means unfulfilled. If it's fulfilled, then why do you want it? So desire refers to unfulfilled. It is, otherwise it will be an attachment to a possession. So desire means refers to unfulfilled itself. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Bhavna Katira. As you say, strong emotions never fulfill our wishes, but nowadays all spiritual seekers and gurus say that be positive and keep thinking about what you want, and one day you'll achieve. That means your wishes will be fulfilled. Hence, I'm a bit confused. Okay, Bhavna, this does occur to many people. There is actually a video on the YouTube channel called Law of Attraction. So you can listen to it in detail, but I will just briefly talk about that now. Yes, strong emotions will not fulfill desires which you have seen in your own life, right? When you have wanted to speak to somebody, you've not been able to speak. When you wanted to go to an exam and do your best, you've not been able to do your best at an interview. People struggle to speak. All of these stories. So you can see clearly that emotions interfere with action. Correct? So far, so good, right, Bhavna?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now people say keep thinking about what you want and one day you will achieve. That is also true. Now, how does that work? That works, as we have spoken already earlier, about when you have a desire and your desire is guided by or led by your discrimination, by your intellect, then this desire converts from just a desire, an uncontrolled desire, into a goal, an aspiration, an ideal. When you have a goal like that, the intellect is always attuned to the fact that you're going there. Just as when you're driving your car, you're always attuned to the destination. So every turn that you take or every turn that you avoid taking is all determined by that destination. You cannot afford to forget where you're headed. So in that sense, if you remember that at all times and direct all your actions by that, you will reach your destination. But if you get excited about it, your mind gets involved, then you will start making mistakes, whether in driving or in action towards that goal. Like, for instance, the cricketer in the 90s, when his mind gets excited about the 100, he makes mistakes. But if his intellect focuses his attention for the sake of that 100 on the ball that is coming to the bat at the moment, he gets his 100. Is that clear? One is the mind is getting involved. So you're getting excited, agitated, nervous, anxiety-ridden, worried, whatever. That's one side of it, in which case you won't get. The other side is the intellect is focused on the goal and therefore makes the body perform the action that is required. And therefore you're an achiever.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I've joined new from today itself. And ma'am, I had one more question. Do you have any lectures in Hindi? Do you teach in Hindi, this Bhagavad Gita?
No.
My family would like to join. That's why.
Well, maybe they could join, and if any part is not clear, then they can ask, like, it's an interactive class, right? So people can ask, because the English is not very difficult, right? Here, so I'm sure they'll understand, and if anything is not clear, I can always explain it in Hindi or whatever. Again,
sure. Yeah. And ma'am, do you have any video on law of attraction, as you said?
Yes, it's on the YouTube channel, Team Janki Santo.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, Mamita has put a link over here.
Sure, I'll get it. Thank you, ma'am. Hari Om.
Hari Om. So, yasmat no dvijate lokaha, loka no dvijate chayaha, harsha marsha bhayo dvaigi, mukto yah sa cha me priyaha. Such a one is dear to me. Such a one is dear to me means such a one is close to me, says the Lord. You remember what close to me means, right? What does close to me mean?
Closer to realization.
Yes, so what does that mean?
Fewer desires.
Pure desires. Very good. Any questions on verse 15? Shall we proceed to 16? Any questions? All good so far? Okay. Verse 16. Anapeksha suchirtakshah udasino gatavyatah sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhakta same priyaha. Anapeksha suchirtakshah udasino gatavyatah sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhakta same priyaha. Anapeksha. Anapeksha means jiski koi apeksha hi nahi. Someone who has no expectations, no desires, no wants. Fortunately, we have just studied it. He's basically saying, all these things are of the previous. Moda, Ayushi, is this chapter 1? No, Ayushi, this is chapter 12 that we are currently on, called Bhakti Yoga. So we are doing here the qualities of the Bhakta. So, anapeksha, no desires, no wants, no apeksha, no expectations. Now, how is it possible to be without wants and without expectation? How is this even possible? The reason people can be without desires is that they are completely satisfied with something else. Ravi Chabra, increase the volume. Are you all finding it okay or not?
Okay.
Well, you're
No,
Okay.
I find it a bit
Not
low.
clear
I
properly.
mean, I have to really strain myself to listen to you. So I was wondering if you could adjust something from your end. Thank you.
Tell me what I could adjust.
Speak a little louder.
Okay. That has been.
No,
the-
one is speak a little louder, and other is there is one tab on your laptop or on your Mac where you can increase the volume. Thank you.
There is an F12, which is at maximum volume at the moment. I don't know any other way of increasing volume here.
Janki, this tone is perfectly fine.
This tone is fine. Okay. Okay, so where were we? How is it possible not to have desires? How is this even possible? Now think about a time where you don't have desires so that it becomes clear. You see, this is not a theoretical subject for us. Okay, Ayushi says earphones will also help a bit. This is not a theoretical subject for us. This is our life we're talking about. Not just, if you know it, fine. If you don't know it, fine. It's not that type of subject, right? Because our life is going to be influenced by how much we understand this. So think about it. Think of a time where you yourself given up your own desire. Let us say, for an argument's sake, that there is a particular chocolate or a particular sweet which you're very fond of. It's your favorite sweet. Think of that. Now, you have a young child, a 3-year-old child, who also loves exactly that same chocolate. Your child. Your child has gone to school or whatever they go to, that primary KG or whatever, has gone to play school. Okay? And is not there at the time that you receive the chocolate. Doesn't know. The child doesn't know that you've received the chocolate. The child is at play school. Now, what will you do with that chocolate? What will you do?
Keep it for him.
You think you'll gulp it down before the child comes?
I'll eat a bit and keep a little for him.
Okay. That you're saying now, but when it's really your child, I doubt you'll do anything like that. It's one small piece of chocolate. The only option you have is leave for him or eat it yourself. Now think of what you will do.
If it's a very small piece, then I will leave it for my child.
Naturally, no, everybody will do that. Really, everybody is going to do that. Now the question is that why would you do it? There are people who, for the same child, will not leave that chocolate, such as the neighbor's child. The neighbor's child got the chocolate, say, before my friend comes, I'm going to eat the chocolate. But you, for your child, will not do that. Now, why?
Emotions are involved.
Yeah. Because you are more satisfied with the emotional pleasure of watching the child eat that chocolate than of the physical pleasure of eating the chocolate yourself. Do you realize this thing? So even though you like it, you will give it up for what? For a higher pleasure. So whenever we enjoy a higher thing, the lower pleasure will automatically, instinctively be given up. It's the only way. It's like when the piped gas came into your house, the cylinder went away, no? When the cylinder came into your house, then remember there used to be that stove in which you used to put kerosene, and all the older people will remember. All the youngsters don't know what we're talking about. So remember there used to be a stove when I was a small child and we couldn't get cylinders so easily. Then there used to be a stove in which there was kerosene and you had to get kerosene from the ration shop. It's a different world. So in that world, when the 2-cylinder system started, that stove went away. Now pipe gas has started and the cylinders have gone away. So when do you give up something? When you know something better. A young child brought up in this country, okay, a young boy, the aankhon ka tara boy, everything his mother looks after for him in the house. Such a boy decides to go to America to study. Okay? From the place where he never even picked up his own socks. He has to go there, wash bathrooms, cook his food, do everything. He gives up all the comforts of his home here because he is now motivated by the higher pleasure of his education and whatever he wants to do in life. So when do we give up a pleasure? When we know a higher pleasure. So why does the bhakta not have desires? Because he's enjoying the higher pleasures, the greater pleasures, which we have no access to. So we say, oh, uska kya hai? Like, a small child, he and his brother used to play. Then this brother fell in love with some girl. Now he goes running behind that girl. The smaller, younger brother will say, kitna pagal hai. We used to have such a nice time playing. Now he's going behind that girl. But the thing is, he will never give that up for those marbles he used to play with his child, with his younger brother. And the younger brother will never understand why is he not playing with marbles when he has an opportunity. Ab ye ladkiyon ke piche kyun ja raha hai? Yuck, ladkiya, how horrible. Yeah? The way you think is dependent on your level. If you cannot enjoy the higher, the lower will seem very attractive. So the bhakta is enjoying the higher. So the lower has ceased to attract him anymore. So that's it for today.